ask you one more slightly uncomfortable question. I warned you, so it won't bear on my conscience. But you said the CII is apolitical. But I do remember in 2002, after the Gujarat riots, it had taken a position. At least some key CII members had. Since then, of course, I think, under your leadership, the CII has welcomed Mr. Modi stepping into the national arena. You've said that he is a global leader. I'm just wondering, this shift in position makes you apolitical now and political then, or were you always apolitical, or because you've changed,
No.
the organization to some extent has changed its views.
CII always has been apolitical. Of course, members can have their own positions, right? But CII always has been apolitical. We have actually worked with every state government. We are in every single state. So we have worked with every single state. When CPM was ruling in West Bengal or Kerala, we have worked with them. So we work with every single government, and that's the strength of CII, because every state has its business leaders. We work with the political leadership in those states and keep pushing our agenda. Sometimes we get what we want, sometimes we don't, but we have to keep pushing our agenda.
Okay, we spoke of business confidence and you said that it will return post-elections. So does that mean that any recovery in the investment cycle will and can only take place towards the second half of this year, more likely the end of this calendar year, for India at least, and not before that?
It seems more likely, maybe after June. I think everybody will be watching what happens in the elections and who comes to power, etc. And if a stable government comes, I think there will be a number of investments that come to India. Having said that, last 1 year also, India has attracted significant foreign, institutional investment and foreign direct investment.
Okay.
Because our current account deficit position has improved.
Okay, so I'm going to go back, and I know that you feel fairly optimistic because of all the moves that have taken place in the last 6 months. I know you're talking to me about the fact that we were able to stabilize the rupee, cut down the CAD, now there's work going on the fiscal deficit.
Yeah, from
there's
June,
talk.
when we were all so worried, because the rupee was moving dramatically every week, and we were so worried. But it looks like it's a thing of the past.
Well, nobody could have anticipated what happened to the rupee. That was linked in some sense to the taper fear that took place. But a lot of the other stuff could have easily been worked on much in advance. But I won't dwell on that. What's happened has happened. I want to hark back to a memory I have of India in Davos. That was the time, I think, in 2006, when the CII, the IBEF, and Indian industry leaders got together and hosted the India Everywhere campaign. That was really, for me at least, in the last 9 years that I've been covering Davos, the peak that India has seen in terms of presence, in terms of image, and in terms of response from across the world, right? People were impressed with the aggression with which India was putting itself out there. It was also the peak of Infosys, if I may say so, sir, because that was the year you hosted the Infosys flag on the wall of the Belvedere Hotel, and I thought there was not, and I have yet to see, a more audacious branding move by an Indian company ever. India has, the India momentum has tapered off since then, and I don't need to tell you that the Infosys momentum tapered off not since then, but thereafter. We're finally seeing signs of recovery, but they're all linked to the return of Mr. Murthy. What do you make of that and the commentary that Infosys sees around the return of Mr. Murthy, his son joining in, that persists quarter after quarter, even though the numbers are looking better every quarter?
See, if the numbers don't look good, definitely people are going to comment on, people are going to attribute reasons for it. Everybody will have their own reasons for it. What within the company we look at is what can we do? How can we improve the situation? How can we change the results and the numbers? And that will then change the perception. So it is true for Infosys, it's true for India. It was not good last 2 years for India. I believe things will improve. Infosys, things starting to improve, and hopefully if we succeed in continuing with this, again this will be a thing of the past.
So India has turned the corner and so has Infosys, according to you?
the results from last 2-3 quarters for Infosys clearly say that at least in the last 2-3 quarters we have turned around. Now if we can continue on this path, I think we would have turned the corner.
Mr. Gopalakrishnan,
See,
the return of Mr. Murthy.
In business there is a saying, right? You are only as good as your last quarter.
Yeah, that's
so
true. Well,
you have to continue to fight for attention, fight for investment. You have to do that.
how long would you, okay, before I get to the leadership question, the return of Mr. Murthy also meant that you moved back to the vice chairman position. In the last 6 months, we've seen several senior management exits. Much has been said about why. Bala was the last one to leave. When is this going to, this flowing out of senior talent going to stop? Because Mr. Murthy in the last press conference said, good for them, good for the company. I can't make out if this is, part of the plan to bring in new blood and therefore the old guard is leaving, or is there something else at play here?
No, clearly, we have to look at succession, right? We are all getting old. So we have to look at succession. We have to groom the future leadership. The key, I would look at it differently. I would look at the depth of leadership that Infosys has. If you looked at the leaders that we have today, how they are presenting themselves, at least for me there is tremendous confidence in the leadership, the depth of leadership, and that's what I would look at. There will be churn, there will be churn. Different people have different reasons for staying or leaving, and that's life. We have to go on, and we have to make sure that we take care of the people who we retain, make sure that we mentor them, we give them the right responsibility.
So you're not too concerned about the senior management exit?
See, whenever anybody leaves, yes, there is a vacuum temporarily, right? But if you have good leadership, that gets filled up very quickly, and that's what happens.
All right, since you so sportingly stood in the snow, answered my questions about Davos, India and Infosys, I'll put one last final question to you. What are you most looking forward to in the next 4 to 5 days?
What am I looking forward to? I'm a co-chair and I want to find out what that means and enjoy that co-chair position this year.
Well, I think, Mr. Gopalakrishnan, it means that you're going to be very, very busy over the next 5 years. So I'm glad we got time with you today before all the madness kicked in. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you very much for doing this interview. Well, that was S Gopalakrishnan, President of CII and Vice Chairman of Infosys. With that, we end our very first broadcast from Davos. We'll see you tomorrow on Your World at 10.